Cage is probably one of our generation's definitive actors.
Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man, Andy Gillis here. Hope everyone's doing well in the world right now.
Hi everybody. I just want to remind everybody we don't get paid for this. And sometimes you've got to do things in life that you don't like to do and have to suffer through it. And let this podcast be a lesson to you all out there. Just for great things to blossom, sometimes you have to suffer unimaginable terrors. And that is what we're about to watch ahead. Hello, I'm Matt Guy. Hello.
I watched this, and as I was sitting there, I was thinking that Matt's not going to like this at all.
Yeah, I knew it.
And I was thinking, what would Meatloaf think? And I don't think he would have done this for love either. And it's one of the most... it's 50 minutes long, and I sat there and thought about it for the next 7 hours of the day. This is going to be brilliant. I can't wait for this. This is amazing.
Yeah. You know, I've been waiting all week and I'm like, Matt ain't watched it yet. But I know he hasn't watched it.
He hasn't.
He'll send abuse the second he watches this shit. And it happened. So yeah, I knew that it was coming. I have no idea what to say about this as a film, but I suppose it's a play, really, when we talk about it. I don't know. It's a David Lynch creation during his Twin Peaks and, quite obviously, Wild at Heart period. It was filmed performance in 1989 at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. It is called Industrial Symphony No. 1, The Dream of the Brokenhearted. Stu, going into this, I'm assuming you've never heard of this, because honestly, who has?
But when you said that, oh yeah, we're going to link this because we did it in the music cast, and we'll have it like musical kind of thing 2 weeks in a row, I thought, oh, okay. I had no idea. I thought, are we going off-piste? Is this one of the cageless things that we do every now and again? So when it started and he was there, I thought, oh, intriguing. Is he going to be singing? Is going to be some Elvis thing? And then the rest happened. But yeah, I had absolutely no idea, no clue at all. Never heard of it before. And then that link came through, and I thought, oh, it's in 4:3. Oh, this is going to be special. And you can see the grainy stuff at the bottom that it's been clearly uploaded from a tape. Is this a tape that's been made from the time? Who knows? But yeah, completely clueless going in, and completely clueless afterwards, really.
Matt, I mean, I know you didn't particularly enjoy Wild at Heart, David Lynch and everything, so did you know that was this going in, or where were it?
Only because of what you told me, yeah. I didn't know that this existed prior to you telling me about it. And I, foolishly, in my head, even when you did tell me about it, thought it was going to be like Grease. Fuck me, I wish I...
There's a lot of Grease in it.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah, I wish it was Grease as well. Right, so IMDb describes this quote-unquote film as the performer of the Twin Peaks theme, Julie Cruz's experimental concert film, which opens with a short intro where a man breaks up with a girl over the phone, which devastates her. The concert is set in her nightmarish subconscious mind. So the film opens with Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern on the phone. Their accents bear a striking resemblance to Sailor and Luna from their time with Lynch in Wild at Heart, but IMDb tells me that they're called The Heartbreaker and The Heartbroken Woman. The Heartbreaker tells the heartbroken woman that he cannot do it anymore. He needs to go away and end their relationship. That's everything that we get to see of Nicolas Cage. The next 45 minutes are set on a stage with whirring sirens, sex jazz, high-pitched singing around a strange set of metallic scaffold structure. It's supposed to be a nightmare sequence, the dream of the brokenhearted, literally in the title. The singing is performed by Julie Cruz. It's all high-pitched, ethereal, and barely decipherable, to be perfectly honest. the whole thing's a move, like there's no real substance to it. So she could be singing about absolutely anything, and I wouldn't have a clue what was going on. I would have said that maybe it's just a recording, but apparently she was just miming, so they were actually playing the actual songs that she was miming to. But it was terrible. I couldn't understand anything that was going on throughout any of this. Julie Cruz is labelled as the dream self of the heartbroken woman. She sings Up in Flames whilst a naked lady rides and then a fully clothed man hangs upside down. The dream self then sings another song, but after the second song we get a performance from Michael J. Anderson. He's a little person who was in Star Trek, Twin Peaks, X-Files, Charm, Mulholland Drive. Like, you probably recognise his face, to be honest. I think he's a fairly recognisable guy. His appearance starts with a 4-minute segment of him just using a saw on some wood. He then runs around the stage and we get another song from Cruz, at the end of which she falls from the skies. It looks like it's a really nasty fall, but it's quite clearly not a human doing the stunt. Eventually we hear what sounds like cats fucking, and then there's a weird devil or deer hybrid thing on stilts that comes to life and then vanishes after 2 minutes of quite literally just standing there. We're halfway through at this point. Matt, how are you getting on?
Right, let me start by saying, when it started, I thought, oh, is this the one by Metallica or something? Because it starts off like World War One, like gunfire and flashing lights. I was like, oh, where's this going? I have no clue what's going on here. And then the singing starts, and I wasn't necessarily like, listen, I listened to some absolute indecipherable music, right? Lorna Shore, for example. Listen to it, you'll hate it. Right? So I'm not, against undecipherable music, but it was just nothing. It was just wobbling mess. And then like the backdrop to it all, it just, when that fucking monster thing came out, not that I wasn't like thinking this is shit to begin with, but shit, I was just like, what is it? What has this got to do with anything here? When's Nick Cage going to turn up? Like, what is the story here? And I've come down to one conclusion with this. This is going to make me sound like a proper, like, old fuddy-duddy, political correctness gone mad. But this film, if you can call it that, is what happens when you give participation medals out to people and tell people that everything's great and you can't criticise me, because this is just turgid shit. There is nothing redeemable about this. This isn't like art. No one can go, oh my God, well, I went through a roller coaster of emotions watching that. It means nothing. And you can't criticise it. If the singer would have took a dump on her hand and threw it up the wall, some lunatic, it would say, oh God, the metaphor in the name of art here, it's just unbelievable. But he's just throwing shit up the wall. It's so bad. Like, I don't get it. I've never got it with Lynch. Like, I just don't see it. But this is as bad as it gets. Like, it's never been as worse than this. There's nothing redeemable about it. Not one good song. Not one good, like, set piece. Nothing about it is worthy of anybody's time. But everybody should watch it. It's bizarre. There we go.
I mean, clearly when you've got a little person soaring into a piece of wood for 4 minutes, and it's showing the levels of heartbreak digging deep into the soul. But no, it's not, is it? I hate this music. The first thing, I know I slagged off and Eurythmics last week. Fine. This is the stuff I can't bear it. It drives me insane. And as soon as it started, I thought, oh no. I can't be doing 50 minutes of this. So it was almost like within 5 minutes, I only got my phone out to look at X. Sorry. But then the stuff started happening, and I put my phone and I thought, this is fascinating. What is going on? Why is she floating around? Don't know what she's saying, obviously. But then you had all the stuff in the background. You had the metal scaffolding. You had them writhing over poor old Herbie, all burnt out on the floor. And you think, well, why is she writhing around on the car for? Is this some kind of like metallic, like some kind of mechanical, subliminal message going on? And it wasn't. And then it went away. And then the log came out, and then I thought, okay, there's going to be another song in a minute. And then it was. And then she falls from the sky, and I thought, oh, no, that's going to have hurt. That must obviously be the pain that she's feeling inside. And then the goat thing. I mean, to be fair, it did look pretty good, considering the age of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't seen people walking on them kind of like blade steel things for years until after this. I know he doesn't really walk; he kind of hobbles around a little bit on his goat legs, or deer, whatever monstrosity he was. I think whether I called it a goat devil on the fancast last week when I mentioned it to impressionable young Amy on there, and I couldn't take my eyes off it, and I don't know why, because it's shit. But it's not shit, because it obviously means something. Maybe it's just too highbrow for us to understand.
No, I'm not having that one bit.
Yeah. Because it reminded me of the David Lynch PlayStation. Oh, we've mentioned Lynch before. The PlayStation third place adverts that made no sense. There was a duck. There was a woman with a face all too small. And there was just all things that make you remember things. You remember it was like branding for the sake of, oh yeah, you remember the advert, you remember the brand, that kind of list, that kind of theory. And there was stuff in this that I've watched thousands of films, thousands of hours of TV shows. This should not be memorable because it is awful. But it's been in my head for nearly 2 days now. Do not understand why. And this is halfway through.
We'll get onto it at the end, well, in a minute, because there's 2 bits that I think I understand, but the rest of it, I haven't got a fucking clue what is going on. It's indecipherable listening to what she's saying, but as a work of art, I have no idea what he's trying to tell me with it. And I like Lynch, and I like to think I'm quite good with symbology and stuff in film, but for 99% of this, I haven't got a clue what is going on. It is dreadful. But at the same time, like, it keeps drawing me back in. Like, every time I look away or look at X on my phone, and then all of a sudden a devil fucking deer stands up, and I'm like, what? Like, you can't not look at it, but not for good reasons, because it's just confusing. So odd. Julie sings another song, then Anderson comes back on stage and sings a song. I say he sings a song. The song is The Dream of the Brokenhearted. It's him rereading the Heartbreaker and the Heartbroken Woman's lines from the beginning of the film, whilst the previously naked woman is now fully clothed, but she's still writhing around, and Laura Dern just appears next to him for some reason, not really doing much. Julie sings a song from inside the boot of the car now. They then dangle baby dolls on fishing line to the sound of sirens. There's 10 minutes left, but honestly, nothing really changes. It's just another dreary song that she floats around on the screen, and then the play ends there. So that's the end of it. Stu, how did you feel?
I enjoyed him playing the little flute thing that we didn't mention when he was with Laura Dern back on stage. That was quite weird. But when that's what I didn't get, because she fell and kind of crumpled and died, and then they resurrect the devil deer goat. At first I thought, is this supposed to be her? Is it because it's a stage thing that we're not supposed to see her body lifeless on the floor? Has she turned into this thing? And I kind of took it as, I was trying to think as an educated person. I was trying to think outside the Lynchian box and think, is this what it potentially could even be? That, okay, her hopes were up there, hopes were sky high, and then he soared away at it and it's come crashing down. The soars went because of that, and then her hopes have been resurrected, and that's all demonic, and then that's gone away, and then okay, she's got a little bit of hope, but at that point she's dead. Is that what it means? And is that what the babies were for? Is the babies on the fishing lines some kind of symbol of, oh, this is what could have been, but now all the babies are in the sky? What the fuck is going on? But again, I did not take my eyes off it for a second because it's so weird. Fair play to him. You got the little guy shining the light around like some kind of stage hand, but why is it then showing him shining the light on it? Is it shining a light into a subconscious? Who knows? You could do thousands of words on the possibility of what this is. In reality, it's just a mentalist writing random stuff on a page and say, let's do this, it'll be funny, it'll be weird. Because I don't think it's got any meaning whatsoever, because it is too odd.
Yeah. It's just, I'll get onto it in the good, bad and crazy new. There's no narrative structure to any of this at all. It's just sort of glimpses of weirdness, which if it's a dream, I sort of understand what he's saying with that, but obviously it's not coherent. But the only two bits that I could sort of decipher was the babies on the string is the heartbroken woman fearing the loss of what could have been.
That's
I sort of get that. Yeah. And the other one is the writhing naked woman, I think would be the heartbroken woman's fear about why the heartbreaker has left her, I think. But outside of that, I couldn't tell you what anything else meant in it.
Matt, but if we both got the same thing about the babies on wires, maybe, this is what I mean, maybe there is some kind of, maybe we're so in tune with this madness that we're both coming at it from the same angle, or it's a coincidence.
No, I think that potentially is it. I think he's got like glimpses of ideas that he's put in there, but they're just not always necessarily obvious to us mere mortals.
I mean, I don't think everything should be like so paint by numbers like a Marvel film or anything, but it's just so undecipherably bad. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I just don't give it enough credit, and I've got predetermined judgments on this kind of stuff. But it's unabashed, gratuitous nonsense, isn't it? Self-indulgent, waffling flop of shit. I really can't stand this kind of stuff. Well, like art, it's my issue with art in general. You literally can serve up any old nonsense, and people have got to go, oh well, that's just fucking unbelievable, isn't it? Like this is just sensational. Like because nobody wants to be like the ghost at the feast that just calls it what it is. Shit. Like no, like that's the thing with art. That's what turns so many people off it, is that like all of a sudden you can't be and being an art critic must be the easiest job in the world, because you just go, oh well, the symbolism here is quite evident to see, and then you don't have to say anything else because it's all about what everybody else sees anyway. You don't have to have an opinion. It's just, I just don't get it. I don't get it at all. Like
it's. I mean, I hate interpretive dance, and this is what it is. This is what it was on stage. Interpretive dance with some silly fucker singing nonsense behind it. I hated it all. And we haven't even got to that question yet, but fucking hell. It was just a struggle. I mean, 50 minutes, it felt like 50 days. It's the longest thing we have watched for this podcast.
You know what, as well? Everything leads down to, I didn't even get an advert throughout it. Such as YouTube wanted me to suffer. You know what I mean? It shows no value in it whatsoever. I didn't have to watch a single advert throughout it either. YouTube knows it's awful as well.
You know what? I don't think about YouTube, but I have YouTube revanced. Now works perfectly fine. Which is, after they took Vanced away, and I thought, oh no, I have to pay for it, which I had to do for 2 months. I gave Revanced a go. If you were all your borderline criminals out there, it's perfect. There's no skipping. There's no random app closing down. I watched 2 4-hour podcasts on it on YouTube, both playing in the background and with phone open. Works perfectly fine. Again, works better than this show. You said about the interpretive dance thing. That is spot on, because that's what it is. It is like, I'll wave your arms around and pretend to be fire. What the kind of thing we used to do in drama in GCSE, which I kind of enjoyed doing actually, but I wouldn't watch it. I enjoyed taking part, and I enjoyed like the whole expression through dance, and I like make your body into a worm and all this stuff, and not doing the worm on the floor. All that would have been better, but I do get it. If you don't like this stuff, and you don't like interpretive dance or things of this nature, then this is gonna be torture. And even for me, who couldn't take their eyes off it, who did not really like it very much, but I appreciated its madness, it did feel like longer than Lord of the Rings.
It really did. So obviously, I've got no budget, I've got no box office for this one. Like, so yeah, whatever. Year in review though. So it was originally released on VHS in 1990, Laserdisc in 91, and then on DVD as part of the David Lynch career retrospective called The Lime Green Set in 2008. But obviously the YouTube video must have been taken from the VHS. So, any guesses what the biggest selling single in the United Kingdom was in 1990?
1990. What was released film-wise around then, I wonder?
Beverly Hills Cop? And that time?
No. I mean, it might have been, but that's not related to the answer.
Yeah. No, I've got no idea about 90s. Just
where we like coming into like
Listen Dormant, maybe?
New romantic and stuff like that.
We're coming out of the 80s, sort of new romantic. This one, to be honest, this is an old song that comes back again in a moment as well, oddly enough. So it is the Unchained Melody reissue by the Righteous Brothers, which is very unusual because 1995's biggest selling single was the Proto Anton Deck Robson and
Jerome. Yeah.
Of Unchained Melody. So that song appears twice in the 90s as the biggest selling single of its year, which is bizarre.
Yeah, but you remember how massive Soldier was, though, back in the day?
Oh, yeah, it was huge.
Everyone watched it. It was like Line of Duty.
Yeah, and I'm guessing that 1990 must have been Ghost, if Unchained Melody was the biggest single of that year. The two biggest selling albums of 1990 were both best ofs. Any idea which two artists' albums they were? One's a guy, one's a girl. They're both queens. Matt, want to take a stab at one of them?
They're both queens. So which gay guy had a best of?
Oh, it's not.
Yeah, I was going to say it's the Queen when it comes to it. Yeah, Elton's the one.
Elton, yeah. And which Queen would have been having their best of then?
Dolly?
Not Dolly. I'll give you a clue, Matt. She only came out in the 80s, and it's very much a retrospective of her 80s career.
I don't know. I haven't got a clue.
Stu, any guesses? She was huge as well. I mean, she still is big, but it's not the kind of music I've ever listened to, but she's adored by many.
Whitney Houston.
I'm going to say Cher.
No, it's a Madonna. The Immaculate Collection. I mean, she'd only been out like a handful of years by that point, but those are the two biggest albums of 1990. So for Nicolas Cage, this film was released in between Firebirds and Xanderly. Trilogy that would have been. We discussed the good films of 1990 in the Firebirds episode. So for the worst films of 1990, the 11th annual Razzies took place in March 1991. The Godfather Part 3 gave Nick Cage's cousin Sofia Coppola 2 awards, with the Worst Supporting Actress and Worst New Star. The two big winners, though, with 3 awards apiece. The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, which won Worst Film, Worst Screenplay and Worst Actor for Andrew Dice Clay. And also Ghosts Can't Do It. Like, I've never heard of that one either. That gave awards to John Derrick for Worst Director, Bo Derek for Worst Actress. And would either of you like to take a guess at who won the Worst Supporting Actor that year?
Are they called Derek as well?
They're not, no.
I don't know. Al Pacino. Was he in the list?
It's not Al Pacino. Stu, any guesses?
Judge?
I think it's someone who has. I think they've won 2 Razzies. This person has.
I'm going back with Judge Ryan Albert. Why not?
Donald Trump of all people. So apparently he appeared in this Ghost Can't Do It film as himself. I think he won one for Home Alone 2 a few years later as well. So there were no critical reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. So what do you think the audience scores? Out of 10, out of 100? Stu?
It could be either, couldn't it? I mean, the sensible thing to say is like 2 out of 100.
That's what it should be, yeah.
That's what it should be. But there's so many people. If you're taking, you're not going to fall out with this, are you? If you're going out of your way to find it, and not for a sadistic way like this, that you like this kind of stuff. So maybe like 80 odd. I have no idea.
Matt, what do you reckon?
I've got to say, I was the second I finished watching it, I had to start like searching for it, so I know what the answer is, because I had to see if there are any lunatics in this world that like this trollop, and fuck it, I wasn't disappointed. You give the answer away, and then we'll talk about it, because God Almighty, some of the fucking reviews.
So IMDb, it's got a 7.0. On Letterboxd, it's got 3.5 out of 5. The Rotten Tomatoes, I mean, there's only like just over 50 people have voted on it, but it's got a 64%. I honestly don't know what people have seen in this film to be giving it good reviews at all. The only review from like a critic that I could find was from Josh Zyber of The Bonus View. He gave this production a 3.5-star review, saying, "There isn't much point in trying to decrypt its symbolism, which is mostly a hodgepodge of images and motifs from the director's earlier works. What little semblance of narrative construct is delivered during the opening video prologue with Laura Dern and Nick Cage." And that's the only reviews that I could find. Doesn't really tell you much. There is a 0.5-star review from Letterboxd from my colleague Kenneth. He said, "So I think I've pinned it down. The more a David Lynch work is bound to the necessities of a plot and storytelling, the better it is. His weird sensibilities need to be anchored to something. At best, Lynch gives us truly amazing stuff. Twin Peaks, Blue Velvet, and The Elephant Man come to mind. At his worst, we get pretentious, hard-to-watch, meaningless, self-indulgent nonsense like this." There is also a 5-star review on Letterboxd from Bunny123, who says, "Just so beautylicious." And that's it. Matt, give us your good, bad, and crazy, please.
No, I won't do it. No, it's all just a void of regret. Like, there's nothing good about it. Honestly, okay. No, that's a lie. That's a lie. Some of the music was okay. Like, it's floaty and it's a bit. It wouldn't be out of place in like dream sequences and games and stuff like that. Some of it was okay and fine, but it's when it just drags on for like 10 minutes. You know, the bad is everything else. It's makes no sense. There's no plot. You give up. Like, one of the comments on YouTube was like my girlfriend just gave up on trying to find a plot after 15-20 minutes and enjoyed it after that. I guess that's the crazy in that, like, maybe you just have to unplug yourself from the matrix that is this, because enjoy it, or maybe you just need to be on a copious amount of drugs. I don't know, but like, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just culturally, like I called you on the fan cast, Stuart Dullard. I think I'm a podcast of the multiple I've recorded this evening. But maybe it's just me, but some people love it, and I can't physically understand why. Like, most things, like music, I don't like. I can understand from a technical point of view, or foods I don't like because I'm just not into a certain flavour or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing redeemable about this at all. And I'd struggle how anybody who's being serious can rate it anything higher than like a 1 for effort.
Agreed. Stu?
I still now I don't know what to say, because on the one hand, you look at one of my worst films of last year that we said, Mad God, which was shit. But that was 80 odd minutes of plasticine diving into depths of hell, and none of it made sense. But it was really well made. And I hated that film with a passion. I didn't even finish it. It was one of the very few in my entire life that I turned off. At no point did I want to turn this off. And if I was being sensible, and you say, okay, out of 10, what would you give this? As an experience, I'd probably say about a 7. As a film that I enjoyed, it'd get a 1. So what is the middle ground there? You're probably looking around about a 4.5, 5, which is not too far away of what the other people have said. So, I mean, the bad, straight off, the bad was the songs. The music was abhorrently shit. Awful stuff. Just awful. But then, if you think about it, and if, say, take these songs out, and if anyone could be asked, if you replace these songs with like Tenacious D songs, kept all the same imagery, but rocked it up a bit, and with a bit of piss taking, it would be amazing. It would be. It'd still make no sense, but it'd be 10 times better if the songs were different.
You mean it would be better if it wasn't this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But visually, I mean, for the good, I mean, visually, however much nonsense it made, I thought that the Goat Demon thing looked pretty good. I like the staging of everything. I thought that was all right for what it was. For the time, caveat that, for the time, it looked pretty good. So for effects-wise, decent. Everything else, no. But I didn't hate it. I don't know what's happened to me.
Yeah, what can you say? So my good, I really struggled. Like, it's mercifully short. Is my real good thing that I didn't have to waste more than an hour watching it, which is something. I mean, I haven't seen Twin Peaks, but from everything I've seen, it appears that if you appreciate Twin Peaks, you'd probably get something out of this.
Which I did.
So I wouldn't say it's good for me, but I imagine if you're watching it, it's good for the people who it's probably intended for. I'm really clutching at fucking straws with that, though, to be perfectly honest. So, my bad. So I saw in one article that they said that Cruise's performance should be considered a nightmare representation of the woman's psychological turmoil. But obviously there's no narrative structure other than like the odd bits that I mentioned before, which I think there's some kind of symbolism there. But the problem with all of that is that none of that makes any sense because it's so hodgepodge, as that critic previously said. It's not so over the place. It doesn't take you on a journey and it doesn't invite you in. It doesn't give you anything really. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to take from this quote-unquote film. I get the impression that Lynch may have been boffing fucking Julie Cruz and it was just an excuse to put her on screen. Like, I don't know if maybe that's just all it was. I don't know what any of this means, and I hate that. I hate not knowing, and it just fucking riles me up no ends. So that's my bad, is everything to do with this film, I say, yeah. Crazy. So this was at the creative height of Lynch's powers. Like, by the late 80s, early 90s, Lynch had been producing music. His art had been hung in prestigious galleries. It had mainstream success as well as critical success with Eraserhead, Elephant Man, Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart. Obviously, people were loving Twin Peaks. He must have felt untouchable, which is probably why he made this and thought that it would be great. So I just find it crazy to think that, as I said, this was the height of his powers, and this is what he was putting on. Like, I just don't understand how those two worlds met up with this, because any sane person should have seen this and told him to just put that in the bin, because that's where he belonged. Yeah, ridiculous. Matt, did you enjoy the film?
I didn't say anything else about it. I just chalk this one down to labour of love.
Yeah, I'm going to say no as well, because I'm certain Stu's going to book the trend in a moment. So yeah, it's a no from me. We've said a lot. It was shit. That's it. Stu, did you enjoy the film?
Oh, I didn't enjoy it though. That's the point. I didn't enjoy any of it. Bro, I was transfixed by it. And the whole art argument, and I do enjoy Twin Peaks, and I do like weird stuff now and again. But it has to be a certain place and time for me to enjoy this stuff. If I'd watch this at, I don't know, 11:30 at night and I was knackered, maybe it'd piss me off. But I'll watch it pretty much first thing in the morning. And I was not drunk or hungover anyway, and I was just transfixed by what I was seeing. And I've played Death Stranding, which is equally not as weird as this stuff, like Kojima and some of the odd Metal Gear Solid stuff over the years. I like weird stuff. But you could easily say, we could make a film like an ode to Wensfield, and we could put like shopping trolleys on top of barges upside down and colour the canal in with green, even more green than it is, and then start hanging little plastic deer around the place and film that and then put it out on YouTube, and someone would finally meet him, even though it's just bollocks. This seems like it's see how far we can possibly push things, and yet it still gets released. And this is all this was. But I was transfixed, like I've said. I didn't like it, but I didn't hate it either, which is what I'm amazed at.
Would you recommend people to watch it though, Stu?
I sent Goldie the link straight away. I said, see how far you can get in this. It's 50 minutes long, just see how far. As an endurance piece, I think if you can put yourself through it, it's something. But I don't know many people who like David Lynch anyway. So if you don't like him, there's no point recommending it, because I know you're not going to watch it, and if you do, you're not going to enjoy it, and you're going to hate me for it. So I can't recommend it to anyone, really.
I'm assuming you would recommend people watch it, Matt.
I think people should, so they have an appreciation for the things they do actually enjoy. Yeah, people should just watch it just to share my hate. No, but if I'm sure there are better, 50 minutes that you can spend with your life. But actually, if it means you can have a laugh with this podcast alongside it, then go for it. Why not?
So, was Nicolas Cage good or was Nicolas Cage bad? I mean, it's a bit of a void question, isn't it? He literally has a dozen words in this.
I think it would be unfair to add it to the scores, to be fair.
Yeah.
Because I don't know I don't wonder what we scored him on Wild at Heart. We kind of just have to go with the same score, really, I guess, because he just is that character, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, he is effectively. I mean, like in my notes, I said I've put void because you can't really answer that question. He's not bad, he's not great, but it's not because of him. It's because he's literally on screen for 30 seconds and he's got nothing to work with. So, anyone could have done it, realistically speaking, because there's nothing from the Wild at Heart characters that come across other than he's using the same accent that he used there. So, yeah, there's nothing to it. Stu, have you got anything at all to say about Cage's performance in this?
It's a bit like Noir in Spider-Verse. He does what he has to with what he's got, and we can't count it because it's too little. But could he be replaced by anyone else? Of course he could. It reminded me a bit like David Duchovny in Red Shoe Diaries.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Actually, yeah.
Yeah, well, he's there at the start and the end, and then that's it. But he's got no actual reason for being there in the plot of episode itself. So if you count in David Duchovny, he could have done this as well. So it's null and void for me too.
So for the record, I said that Nick Cage was good in Wild at Heart, but you two were against me and said it was bad. So finally, if you enjoyed Industrial Symphony No. 1, The Dream of the Brokenhearted, you may also like. Stu?
Pouring bleach into your eyes. I just go and say, just go and watch Hamilton. It's better in every possible way.
Yeah, no arguments. Matt?
Well, go watch Grease, because that's what I thought it was going to be, and that's what I wanted it to be by the end of it.
How much of a letdown is that? I think it's going to be Grease and fucking weird experimental nonsense. Awful. I'm going down the route of, just because it's on YouTube, that seems to be the only way you can see it. So a couple of YouTube creators. NPR Music, they do something called Tiny Desk Concerts, and they're just like tiny little 15-minute gigs where people go into a small office and play for, 20-odd people in an office block. I think that was the first place I heard Lizzo. Taylor Swift's been on there, Post Malone, Action Bronson, some of the bigger names. But then there's just a shitload of nobodies. Like, you might find some random Brazilian street band on there, and you get a bit of everybody. It's really cool. So, yeah, the Tiny Desk Concerts is good. Some of my favourite film reviewers on YouTube, OSW Review, 3 Irish lads who predominantly do old wrestling shows, but they also have some fun with some really great and some really terrible films as well. So check them out. And finally, Patrick Willems does some really interesting, enlightening and fun video essays about films. So if you're on YouTube and you want to watch something after you've spent 50 minutes watching this, those 3 places might be a good place to start for you. Right, so that's another Nick Cage film in the record book, so we're 1 film closer to completion. If you've seen this one or anything else that we've ever discussed, get in contact with us, cagefightingpod@gmail.com, or make sure you get us on the socials @cagefightingpod. As you're listening to us now, please make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss an episode of the podcast. Once you're subscribing, please do leave us a review. It would really help us out. Finally, thank you very much for just giving us your time this week. It was quite short and sweet for a picture pod, which is always good to see. So for this week, Matt, would you like to say goodbye?
Take it easy, everybody. Look after yourselves. Have a fantastic week ahead. And if you want to be a respected and well-revered film artiste, then just release any old shit because people will love you for it. Ciao for now.
Stu, do you want to say goodbye?
I mean, we almost managed to get to the length of the actual film itself again, which is very close. But yeah, I'm trying to deliberately ramble so that happens. But
it's 5 minutes, and
yeah, I mean, we could talk about sound bars. I mean, I was quite impressed with myself with that little deal. But yeah, even having a brand new sound bar, I wouldn't put this nonsense through it. Let's put it that way. But if you enjoyed it, if you even watched it, just get in touch with us, because I've sent it to a few people. I'd be astonished if anyone who's suffered and listened to this podcast will go and watch it for themselves afterwards. Beforehand, yeah, because we've tricked you into it. But afterwards, if you have, then let us know, because that would be amazing. Goodbye.
I'll tweet the link out anyway, so just in case you want to find it, it's there for you. So, mate, yeah, as I say, I'll tweet it out. It'll be on the socials. Get us on there. It's goodbye from me, and remember, be excellent to each other.